Why, oh why do poor white people vote against themselves time and time again?
Hi, I'm Kylie, and white conservatives are terrified of POC outnumbering us. And I truly believe this is the motivation behind a lot of hateful policies in the US. If you haven't heard of the Great Replacement Theory, it is that over time, if enough black and brown immigrants come to the US, as well as white people having children with POC, then over time, POC will outnumber white people. And the reason that this is so unsettling to a lot of white people, especially conservative white people, is that they are terrified that if POC become in power, then they will treat us like we've treated them in the past.
This is why people don't trust white people. Because it is peak whiteness and colonizer behavior to demand civility for a man who denies others their humanity.
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you're watching me from. Now, most of the white Americans and white people are now regretting whatever is happening in their countries. Now, white Americans feel like their country is collapsing and the American empire is coming to an end. And Donald Trump is there to oversee their collapse. Now, most of them are calling out for the black unity and they're blaming each other for whatever is happening and for never listening to the black people. They want the black people to come out and give their voice. Let's watch this video, then have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
They vote for Trump and the other MAGA politicians only to have every promise broken, prices go up, social supports evaporate. Here's why. First, remember what I talked about recently, the psychological wage of whiteness. That term was coined by W.E. Du Bois to describe poor white folks being paid with social status rather than decent living conditions. They're convinced by the elites that they're better than black folks, better than immigrants, Latinos, LGBTQ folks. They're convinced that being white puts them in the same league as the elites. Of course, the elites know otherwise, but the poor whites buy it because they're grasping at straws. Second, they are convinced that the people they're supposedly better than are the big threat in their lives. Not the rich, not the corporations or the politicians, but immigrants, black folks, welfare queens, LGBTQ, criminals, you know, the usual scapegoats. Third, the elites promise protection to poor white folks. A politician comes along and says, I'll keep those people in their place, or I'll kick them out, or I'll lock them up. Or, more politely, I'll defend your values. They don't say, I'll make your life better. Well, they say it, they just don't mean it. They'll say, I'll make sure they don't get ahead of you. Fourth, they vote for the punishment, not the policy. When a law gets passed that slashes public housing or school funding or food aid, they think, good, that'll stop those lazy freeloaders. And they do some mental gymnastics that make them believe it's worth losing those things for their own families in order to see those problematic black people and immigrants and so forth being punished. It gets to a point where just seeing those guys being punished is reward enough, which is pretty sick, but that's how behavior works. Their housing, schools, and groceries are on the chopping block too, but they blame that on Biden. Always a scapegoat. They get hit by the same policies they were told would punish the others, and they blame the wrong people. The system fails them, but they've been trained to blame the scapegoats, not the cause, which is the rich people, the people they voted for. So they think the problem is still those people, not the fact that they were personally manipulated by the people they voted for. They're basically saying, I'll take the hit as long as you don't help them, or worse, as long as you hurt them. That is the psychological wage Du Bois was talking about, the trade-off between material security for racial status. And that's a crying shame, folks. One share, like, save, and comment shows that you care about white people taking responsibility for racism in America. This work is important to me, and I want to keep doing it. If you want to support me, consider a donation of any size to coffee.com/Kelly Snyder. And yeah, spelling is important. Get curious.
Hi, I'm Kylie, and here are 3 things that don't bother me as a white person. Number 1, when a person of color says they don't trust white people, I absolutely understand the sentiment and am not offended if you don't immediately trust all white people. On account of white people colonizing the world and then setting up a system of slavery and not taking accountability for any of the racism, I think this is a totally valid statement. It doesn't bother me because I don't feel like I contribute to the system in this way. Number 2, when a person of color says they don't date white people. Again, I'm not offended by this because even if the white person that you're seeing is really cool, their parents or their family might be crazy. They might be uber racist or come from a really strange environment and family that, quite frankly, you don't want to be involved with. That doesn't make you feel safe, which makes sense. And number 3, when people of color don't follow white feminist accounts. I understand there's a lot of white feminists who don't talk about intersectionality at all, or queer white feminists who don't talk about intersectionality, which is bizarre because every single struggle is so intimately connected. If any of these things bother you, you are taking this way too personally, and I recommend that you do the work to deconstruct what's going on. Because not everything's about you, and there's a racist system in place that you are probably contributing to. Okay, bye!
I'm trying to get rich using black folks' struggles. I was gonna leave this one alone because this ain't what my page is about. I'm here to make folks laugh, share some real life stories, and hopefully brighten somebody's day a little bit. But I've never been good at turning the other cheek, especially when somebody's trying to paint me as something that I'm not. I know that black people face struggles I will never understand just because of the color of their skin. I see it, I don't deny it, and I respect it. But what you're not going to do is come on here and judge me like I'm the enemy just because I'm white. That's not fair either, and it sure as hell ain't who I am. Any black person that knows me or has ever had any type of real interaction with me will tell you the same. Majority of my closest friends growing up were black people, and yes, there were times where I got hate from other white people because of that. But do you think for a second that I let that affect my friendship with them? No, they were my people and I loved them just the same, and I still do. My entire life we were poor. We didn't have much of anything. I still to this day struggle. I became a mama at 16 years old. I'm now a single mama of 3 kids. I have been on food stamps more times than I hadn't. I drive a broke down car. I live in a raggedy trailer that somebody has literally driven their car through the living room and it's been patched up with tin. And you know what? I still get up every day and give everything that I've got to my kids, my patients, and the people that I love. So if you think I'm just some white girl out here clout chasing off of black pain, say that to the ones that know me. The ones that I've stood beside, that I've fought for, that I've prayed for, and that I would take a bullet for without thinking twice. I'm not perfect, but my intentions are pure. And if me coming on here telling real, funny, heartfelt stories about somebody that I loved who just so happened to be a black man makes you uncomfortable, then that says a lot more about you than it does me.
So it's being said that young white men have been radicalized because they've been disenfranchised. And there's some truth to that. But I believe that their disenfranchisement has been the result of the unfulfilled promises of privilege. Like their complaint is that, I'm 27, I'm 30 years old, and I have no financial, economic, or romantic prospects. And newsflash, that's literally what people of color and marginalized groups have been complaining about for decades, for generations, about their lack of prospects in this country. That has actually actively led to their disenfranchisement, well, our disenfranchisement, because I'm one of them. But we worked and we learned our way out of that so that we wouldn't be in position where we elected into leadership our actual oppressors. See, young white men don't view or identify older white males as their oppressors because they look like them, because they're their dads and their uncles. But unfortunately, the fact that those promises of privilege have not been fulfilled for them, that the entitlement that they have been raised in and ingrained within them, the fact that all of this is yours and for you and, as divine by the will of God, and none of it should you have to work for, which is part of what their complaint is. And they don't want a competitive space in a competitive world. The chant in Charlottesville, Jews will not replace us. This fear of being replaced because in a competitive marketplace, you haven't been bred for generations to compete. You have been told that you were entitled to all of it and it is your birthright. So you haven't competed. You haven't improved yourself. You haven't built skills to put you in a place to compete with the people of color who have been told their whole lives for generations twice as hard for half as much. But again, the radicalization of these young white males is just the unfulfilled promises of privilege. But now you find yourself in a space where you are facing the same world as the groups that have been marginalized by your fathers and your grandfathers. So I think the solution is to actually find yourself unifying with these marginalized groups who have worked so hard to scale and achieve. And I know that's a big blow to your ego, because you've been told your whole life and for generations that they are less than you, that they are beneath you, that they are inherently genetically inferior to you, which I understand how that contributes to your rage, because these people who you have been told and made to believe are inferior to you have accelerated far beyond you. But that's not their fault, because they were never told that they deserved all of it by birth. It's the fault of your fathers and your grandfathers who withheld this from you. No immigrant took your job. Your father and your grandfathers and your uncles gave them to them. They preferred them to you because they will work harder for less money. The solution for you is to work harder and to unify with these people so that we all can live in a competitive society with fair compensation for fair work. And right now you're at a point in history where you have the choice to either unify with the oppressed or identify with the oppressors. Make the right choice.
Why is no one talking about how serious the cost of living actually is? So we pay like a really cheap amount of rent compared to like all the other rent I see. And we're a family of 6. We pay $9.50 rent. That's cheap. We're in Missouri. It's like not some nice new place or anything. It was actually built in 1890. My husband is working 3 jobs right now. We buy absolutely nothing that we don't need. And we actually go without a lot of things that we actually do need. I feel like if you're able to do anything that's not just surviving, then you got it good. I feel so sad that I didn't appreciate the times where we were able to actually have fun at this point. So much has changed in the past few years. Like, what? I just really want to know. How is everyone surviving? Is everyone working like 24/7? Because that's what my husband does. And I'm just home with my little kids all the time. It's kind of like depressing that we're never together as a family. So I don't know. I hope one day we can be, but it sucks.
Y'all want to know one real reason why America's crashing out like crazy right now? Mediocrity don't hit like it used to, baby. See, once upon a time in America, you could be real mid and still thrive. Mediocre effort, boom, you get a house, car, annual vacation, pension, hell, maybe even a boat. You could clock in, coast through the week, grill on Sundays, and still retire with dignity. But that era is dead and gone, baby. And instead of leveling up or adapting, they're mad, they're bitter, and they're not even blaming the billionaires. They blaming you. They have the audacity to blame me. They blaming immigrants, black people, queer folk, anyone they think is taking something that used to be theirs by default. See, they don't want equality. They want comfort. And when mediocrity no longer gets them that comfort, they start rewriting the rules to rig the game again. It ain't about fairness. It's about preserving the lie. The lie that being average should still be enough for them.
Hi, I'm Kylie, and white conservatives are terrified of POC outnumbering us. And I truly believe this is the motivation behind a lot of hateful policies in the US. If you haven't heard of the Great Replacement Theory, it is that over time, if enough black and brown immigrants come to the US, as well as white people having children with POC, then over time, POC will outnumber white people. And the reason that this is so unsettling to a lot of white people, especially conservative white people, is that they are terrified that if POC become in power, then they will treat us like we've treated them in the past, which is obviously not great. It involves subjugation of people, enslavement, assault, violence of basically every kind. And I think that white people can feel the shift happening as they are becoming more and more outnumbered. And that is why they are clinging so tightly to power in Congress and with the president right now. And that's why it's so funny when white people deny that racism exists, because if they didn't think racism did exist, they wouldn't be scared of being outnumbered. But they understand the ways that we have treated people of color has been atrocious, and thus they are scared of the tables turning and of being in that position of subjugation. Hi, I'm Kylie, and no, I don't think white people can experience racism. Can white people experience hatred because of the color of their skin? Yes. But is it as severe or damaging as when people of color experience racism? No, not at all. And because there are institutional barriers to the success of people of color and systemic inequalities, racism is a stronger and more apt term for what people of color experience on a day-to-day basis. Prejudice is simply harboring negative attitudes towards somebody based on a characteristic that they can't control, which I feel is a better description of the attitudes that some people of color have towards white people. Am I going to be profiled and arrested based on the color of my skin? No. Am I going to have a harder time getting a job because of the color of my skin? No. I'm more likely to be arrested, incarcerated, or wrongly convicted because of the color of my skin, or called slurs. Like, no, I'm not. So that is why we say white people can experience prejudice, but not racism necessarily, because it diminishes the harm of actual racism by saying that white people can experience it. You don't say that men experience sexism, because they don't. Yeah, some women have hostile attitudes towards men, but it doesn't affect their day-to-day life or their opportunities or make them psychologically distressed.
So yeah, like I have quit so many like jobs in the past, and I don't regret quitting them. Like I don't think my purpose in life is to work for somebody else. I don't think my purpose in life is to have a job. Like no, like obviously, like if you need a job, go and get your job, right? But I don't think my purpose in life is to work an actual job and be paid whatever they pay me and just accept it and think this is all there is for my life. And like I know that there is so much more to me, and I don't care. And I know that there is so much more to my life. Like I have so much, like I can write a whole book, like I can do a lot. I have a lot of values and a lot of qualities, and I'm so sick and tired of this, like I don't know, like white supremacy or something. Like I don't know what it is. It's like they want to brainwash me. It's like they want me to be whitewashed. No offense, but they do, and you guys need to hear me out.
I'm gonna take a moment to come on here and be real with y'all, as I always do, because I need y'all to understand black people's pain when white people sympathize and empathize with racists, right? You don't understand it. A white friend of mine just texted me. He said that he saw my video, and in his own mind, he's conflicted too, and he's trying to make sense of how he should feel about the situation that just happened, and everything like that, right? You need to understand a little bit about me, right? I think that I have an almost obligation to speak on topics like this because of my background, right? Like I grew up with white people. Y'all don't understand the extent that that goes to. Like I had there were less than 5 black boys the entire time I was in grade school, from pre-K to senior year of high school. Most of the time I was the only one, right? When I was finding my sense of identity, or who I was going to hang out with, or my friend group as a child, my options were white. There was no black family that was in the same neighborhood as my options were white, right? And it was not an issue. I love my white friends. I was just hanging out with a bunch of them from high school last Christmas, right? I love my white friends. But you cannot imagine the pain I feel in my heart, in my core, when I see people that I consider my fucking brothers because they've acted brotherly my entire life. They sympathize with a racist. You have no idea the tears I have to hold back as a grown man when I see people that I love and I care about and I would go out of my way for. Like empathize with the racist. Do you know how heartbreaking that is? What I'm realizing here is that there's an issue with people's threshold as to what qualifies as racism. A lot of white people right now that are calling him a man of God and saying that he wasn't racist. Show me the proof. Your threshold of racism starts at violence or calls to violence. And just because that man wasn't on the microphone saying exterminate all the black people now, you don't qualify that as racism. That's a you problem. That's a definition problem, right? Racism is when you see somebody of a certain race and your immediate judgment, your immediate opinion of that person is negative. You don't have to wish them a negative life. You don't have to wish them misfortune. It's that immediate opinion, that immediate thought in your head when you see that person and all you know is their race. That is racism. And then you make predictions and assumptions about everybody else that looks like that person, right? And by my understanding, sympathizing and empathizing with those people who do that, whether they're alive or not, is in a way agreeing with that dumbass ideology, or saying that it's okay to have that dumbass ideology. So again, when I'm looking at people that I love, that I care about, that I would go out of my way for, that I wish the best for, and they didn't vote for Donald Trump, they're not MAGA, right? But then they sympathize and empathize with this guy. I think we've all seen the quotes and videos by now, and I don't need to keep reiterating the words and rhetoric this man used. I think it's safe to say that man damn near hated black people. I think it's safe to say when that man saw a group of black people in a space, immediate negative opinion. That's racism. So yeah, it breaks my heart when I think about all the memories and the good times and the happy times and the core memories that I've had with these white people that are sympathizing with a racist and arguing with me and other black people saying that he's not. The same way y'all went and told Joey Swole that he did nothing wrong. You are not the victim. And the victim doesn't have to be mutilated on the street to be a victim. It's not hitting y'all. His words and his rhetoric and what he's pushing for and what he's advocating for, it's not hitting y'all as hard and as heavy as it.
I'm not gonna lie, it is so frustrating to talk to white people who have struggled because of financial issues, because just because they're at the bottom of white privilege, they think they have no privilege. And I feel like this can go towards like anybody who's experienced struggle and they think that because they were low, that they must be at the bottom. Like there are many, many films of white people in lower class incomes overcoming their struggles. So to say that working class white people don't get any of the perks I described, and what I was describing was just more representation. Like you can still experience struggle while being a white person. That's really not what white privilege means at all. It really just means that being white has not systematically made your life harder. You can still have a hard life as a white person. You can still be discriminated against as a white person, but you can't sit there and deny white privilege as a whole just because you have had a harder life than other white people. I mean, the fact that I have a white sounding name and a white sounding voice already gives me a sense of white privilege, and I'm not even white.
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, we are experiencing a large number of white Americans who are very unsatisfied with whatever is going on in the US. Most of them think this is the end of the American empire and that Trump has been brought to finish them completely. Now, let's not forget America has been built on the back of the black people. And as a matter of fact, it has been built on the back of the resources from Africa. Not forgetting Europe, the same thing. Now, there are people who are used to privileges that are not theirs. There are people who are used to things that they didn't deserve initially, but they got these opportunities not because they qualified, but because the system favored them and because they came from a country which recognized itself as the greatest nation in the world. Now, things are unfolding a bit quickly. No one saw this coming. And the tariffs, everything, the government shutdown, these are symbolic because the black community did make a lot of noise some months ago about the decisions that the US was going to take, and it will affect them for the next 4 years. No one listened. Now, they are asking for the black people to come out, help them protest. They are asking the black people to come out and talk about the things that are ongoing, including the tariffs, talk about the high cost of living, and talk about the government shutdown, which is currently affecting them. You know, when a government shuts down, some of federal services are not given to the people, and some of the governments are sent on a permanent leave, which they are not paid until when the government resumes services. Look at the whole situation in the US. Everyone is crying left, right, and center. The privileges they used to enjoy, they are not there. The white farmers cannot be bailed out. In fact, Donald Trump bailed out farmers from Mexico and leaving farmers from his own country. This says a lot. When you're used to getting things for free, when you're used to having privileges, what happens when they're taken away from you? You always confuse them to your rights. Now, most people thought these privileges were right, and they are now complaining about the same system they voted in. What is worse than not hearing or not listening when someone wants you, then you want their advice? I've always been talking about the white American syndrome, whereby people never listen until when things go high wire. And when that happens, they always cry to the same people who used to advise them. Brothers and sisters, we are living in the 21st century. How about we be decent human beings? How about we care about others and not just ourselves? This is politics of greed. Politics that you only care about yourself. See where they have taken America today. See where the tariffs are hitting everyone left, right, and center. See the soybean farmers cannot sell their products to China. China is now going to Brazil. See the whole thing which is happening across America. That tells you, if not careful, you are going to vote for your own downfall, and you are going to vote for your own end. A lot of prophecies have been made about America. Some of the people argue out that this is the end of the American empire, and Donald Trump is there to fulfill that. Are you going to be a victim of this collapsing empire, or are you going to distance yourself from all the distractions that are going to come with it? Be very careful and be warned. If we are not going to transact carefully, it is not going to end well. You all know that your country was built on bloodshed, just from First World War and Second World War. Before that, America had nothing. But after that, America was built. And guess who did that? Many slaves from Africa and across the world. So we are experiencing a downfall of once a great country, which exploited everyone. It exploited the black community. It exploited Africa. And remember, it copied this from Europe, because Europe got to where it is today because of Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution could have never happened if Europe didn't take slaves from Africa. You must remember, most of the innovations that took place during that time were actually engineered by the labor that was available. They had a lot of labor in their farms. They had a lot of labor everywhere, and that made their work easier. There is no a revolution which cannot take place without people who are willing to do it. And when they brought in blacks, They were forced. They were not willing, but they were forced to do it. 400 years later, they have never apologized for all they did. And if they apologized, or whenever they did so, they did without actions. They have done that repeatedly without changing their ways. How many times have we seen them coming to the media to apologize, to ask for forgiveness? But they are the same people who behave the same. They are the same people who still run these oppressive governments or systems. How do you want you to be trusted if you only talk but give no actions? The actions that we did expect is saying sorry, and later on followed by actions of paying reparations. You know the Netherlands, you know the UK, you know all these countries that keep on asking for forgiveness, but they have never taken a step to reparate the black community. They have never taken a step to change their laws or policies to favor the black people. The black people are not asking about favors. They are asking about equal treatment. Treat them as citizens of these countries, because who qualifies to be a citizen if someone who has stayed in a country for more than 400 years has not yet been recognized as the citizen of that country? Who qualifies to be a citizen if the person who made the economy stable has never been recognized as a citizen? In fact, most of these people that call out the black community to go back to Africa or anywhere they think they belong to, these people came in these countries and found the black community. Tell me why they still disregard the black community and they still do not see the efforts the black community made to see these countries where they are. I know the white people also made they made efforts to see these countries equally, but let's not forget who really propelled industrial revolution across the world. It is the black labor. During the Mediterranean Sea, or no, not the Mediterranean, but the transatlantic slave trade, when black people were taken from Africa, it must be remembered, none of these countries were first world countries. They were all third world countries. In fact, the whole world was a third world. But after that, they came with classism. They classified countries. They made sure the countries where these slaves came from were classified as third world countries. And the countries that they built, they were classified as first world countries. This was to make a distinction. This was to make or to differentiate between Africa and them. Not forgetting, after distinguishing Africa and them, they gave us boundaries. After giving us boundaries, they divided Africa into small pieces for better colonization and for better management. Now, they colonized Africa for all these years, right? Yeah. We were divided and they managed that. Now, this goes to my black brothers and sisters whenever you're watching this video. After being divided, you believed in the colonizer. You thought the colonizer had the best interest in their heart. Now, they really wanted to take your mineral resources. And there is a role they always use, and the UK used to conquer the world. It was called divide and rule. So they will divide you into small portions and make sure you're not united. So it will be easy to fight you. It will be easy to take anything from you. Africa was divided into 54 countries. Until today, Africa is still dividing itself. Sudan divided itself. Now we are having Somali and Somaliland. What's not happening today? We want to have 100 countries? No. Let's be honest. The easiest way for us to remain in this poverty, for the easiest way for us to remain the way we are with our mineral resources being taken away day and night, is with this division. Look at the whole of Africa. We've got some 3 great leaders in Africa. I mean the leaders from the Sahel. who have said no to the colonizer. How many other leaders can say that? How many other leaders can foster black unity? You know, I've always been saying that the black Americans, the African diaspora, and Africa with the Caribbean needs to unite. And if we are not going to unite, brothers and sisters, it is going to be so hard for us to achieve anything. Let alone anything, we are going to achieve nothing. It is the unity of the black and the brown that is going to save us from the disaster. They took everything from us. It doesn't really mean we cannot do anything. We can still unite and make our countries great. I do believe that we still have the energy capabilities. We still have everything, the muscles to achieve black excellence. The only thing we lack is unity. I'll wrap this by saying, you all remember the words of the great Louis Farrakhan. Louis Farrakhan is an African American educator who has been trying to unite the African diaspora and Africa. He has been to Africa so many times talking about unity. And he said that we've tried so many other things. We've nailed, we've crawled in, we've done so many other things. We've asked them for unity. We've tried so many other things, but they have failed. One thing that we've never tried is that which Martin Luther King Jr. was talking about, that which Malcolm X was talking about, uniting. If we unite today, that is the biggest fear they have. Their biggest strength is the division of the black people. And whenever you people come out to unite, you'll tell me these kingdoms, these empires they have built around, which are very oppressive, they are going to fall so bad in that you'll actually wonder how your unity is very great. Brothers and sisters, it's been good sharing this video with you. I really love it when brothers and sisters come together to share words of wisdom. If it's your first time on this channel, please consider subscribing, sharing, commenting, and liking so that you might not miss out on some great content like this. Thank you. Have a very good day.